What's up, guys? Alright, so it's time for another opinion by Bones and Doggo. Guys, I know there's a lot of people putting videos up out here on the internet about all sorts of topics, including what we're going to talk about tonight. And it's difficult to determine who's telling the truth, who knows what they're talking about. So I'm going to encourage you, don't just take my word for it. Check it out. Check with the federal government. Make sure that what I tell you is accurate. Compare it with other drivers. Look at their success. Can they talk the talk and walk the walk, or are they just full of a lot of hot air? You're the only one to make that decision, but there are some good videos out there. Hotshot Dave puts out some pretty good stuff. I agree with most things that he says. Hard-working guy. Just bought him a really decent trailer lately, so he's moving up. He's obviously doing something right to be making progress in that direction. And like I said, I agree with most everything he says. So look around. Just be very careful in making sure that somebody's not leading you down the wrong road, because this is a high risk, high reward business. There's good money to be made. There's a whole lot of money to be lost. So one of the topics on my list of videos I want to put out is leasing versus going under your own authority. It's a decision that every driver has to make when they get started into the transportation industry, whether it's car hauling or not, doesn't matter. You're still going to have to make the decision how you're going to legally set up your company. So I'm going to share my opinion. Again, I'm not a licensed business planner. I'm not licensed as an attorney or economist. This is simply my opinion, but I'll share what I have learned on the topic of leasing versus authority. So we'll start off with leasing. If you lease on under an existing company that already has federal authority, there are some advantages. So the advantages are that they're an established company, providing that, let's assume that you are leasing onto a company that's already been aged beyond 2 to 3 years in the industry. So they've got all the newbie wrinkles ironed out. Insurance doesn't look at them as a startup company or a new business anymore, and FMCSA doesn't look at it as a new business. So they're a viable, solid option to work with. So the advantages are that you will frequently get a better insurance rate. You will be provided with, you hope, a quality dispatch service that's already established. A good company will already have contacts in the industry. I'm coming at it from the car hauling standpoint. So Central Dispatch, it's your bread and butter in the business. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people don't understand it. Most of the time when I've been on the forums and listened to the comments left by people that are negative about Central Dispatch, if you read carefully, they've had a bad experience with a broker. It wasn't Central they had the experience with, it was a broker, and they didn't understand it, and they blamed Central for it. And I've said before, it's like going to Walmart and choosing a lesser quality product off of one shelf instead of a better quality product on another one, and then trying to blame Walmart when your cheap product fails. It's not Walmart's fault. They did their job. They sold you the product successfully. You chose to buy the cheaper product. In this case, when it comes to a broker, you're not necessarily choosing a cheaper broker, because a lot of times you don't know what you're getting, but it's a broker or customer related issue, not a central dispatch issue. Central does a fabulous job connecting brokers with carriers. So, and Walmart is the equivalent of central dispatch as compared to Family Dollar or Dollar General or some small little convenience store. Central dispatch has often 40,000 loads listed if you do an all-to-all search with no parameters set, and you get to choose from those. Now, when I say you get to choose from them, that's a little bit of a broad statement, because again, I'm assuming here that when you lease on with a company, you're leasing on with a reputable company that has maintained a 100% rating on Central or close to it, and is not on the blacklist for a lot of the brokers. So basically any load that you see on the board is a load that you can haul. So that's the advantage of, well, that's several advantages of leasing on under an existing company. This company is already going to have the insurance policy set up with hopefully better rates. They're already going to have their load board set up, load boards, multiple, set up, already been through the process to get that done. They've already been vetted. They've already got their 25 plus positive ratings to be able to work with basically every broker on the board. They've been on the board for longer than a year, and one or two brokers out there for longer than 2 years. So essentially, there's no broker on the Central Dispatch load board that they cannot work with unless they choose not to, because there are some brokers that will have less than 100% rating, and you want to be careful when you're looking through to see what those negative ratings are for, as your dispatcher's booking the load. It's part of their job. The existing company is already going to have their IFTA account set up. If they're a nationwide company, they will already have their Oregon fuel account set up. They'll already have their New Mexico weight and distance account set up. They'll already have a permitting process set up for the states that require over length permits. They'll have all of those things already set up and done, so you don't have to go through that process. So it gives you a lot of benefits to be able to hit the ground running, so to speak. Now, let's switch over for a minute to running under your own authority. Companies do it every day. They start off new. They do it successfully. So can it be done? Absolutely. Are you going to have to pay your dues? Absolutely. What I mean by that is when you first start into the business and you call an insurance company, you're a brand new company. You may or may not be a new CDL holder, but they're going to vet you for all of these things. And because you're a startup company, right off the bat, there's only about 4 A-rated insurance companies out there that will even write you a policy. Doesn't matter that there is nothing negative on your record as a company and nothing negative on your MVR as a driver. You're still going to pay dearly. Progressive probably writes about 90%, and I'm just pulling that number out of thin air because I know Progressive is the main one, and there are 3 others. I do not recall the name of the 3 others at the moment, but Progressive is the primary insurer for new companies, and they know it, and they're taking a big risk on you because they have no idea what kind of business management experience you have. They have no idea what kind of driver that you're going to be. They have no idea how well you're going to take care of your cargo. And car hauling insurance is expensive for a reason. New drivers tear up cars. It's a given. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And insurance companies know that, and they know they've got to charge higher rates in order to make sure that they're still making millions of dollars a year as a company. That way they can pay their CEOs millions of dollars of bonuses every year out of your pocket. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to pay a lot of insurance out. So you're going to have to contact the FMCSA, pay your $350, whatever it is now, to get your application fee paid and get that process started, to get your MC number or Federal Motor Carrier Authority approval to operate interstate, crossing state lines commercially, hauling other people's goods, products, automobiles, whatever it is. Takes approximately 21 days to get your MC number assigned to you and active. As long as you've crossed all your T's, dotted all your I's, and checked all the boxes. You're gonna have to get your filings done. You're gonna have to produce proof of an insurance policy. You're gonna have to have a VIN number for a truck and a trailer. There's a whole checklist of things, and this video is not about how to set up your trucking company, so I'm not going to get into all the little details. Suffice it to say that when you start the process, the FMCSA will give you a checklist. You can go online and search it and print it off. You just go down that list and just check. As you complete each step, when you got each step completed properly, you're ready to go. Get your application submitted, and 21 days later, congratulations, you are a motor carrier. A little harder than that, but that's the basic process. Now's when the real work begins. Also, I highly recommend that you set up at least an LLC along with this. If you do all the paperwork yourself, you're looking at about $1,000. Take or give a little, depending on what state you're in as to what the LLC will cost you. Different little fees and what have you. But filling out the paperwork yourself, $800, $1,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, plus your insurance down payment. And you're a trucking company. Of course, you still have your truck and trailer you got to buy, and your straps and your tools, and all that other stuff. But the basic cost to get started as a trucking company is around $1,000. Take or give a little. Don't forget. At least in the state of Tennessee, you have to have a business license that you get from your county court clerk. Check with your state, make sure that you know the process. It's like $20 in Tennessee to get a business license. It is something that's a requirement as a way of charging you taxes. They collect taxes on it. You'll need to get a EIN number or FEIN number. I've heard it called both. Federal Employee Identification Number, or you'll be using your Social Security number. So if you're comfortable with giving out your Social Security number to brokers for the purpose of processing payments, then so be it. But I recommend that you get your EIN number set up. It's free. You go online, you fill out the form, and it's there, done. It's your business's Social Security number, basically, is what it is. It keeps your personal one out of play. You'll be processing as you get started setting up your different accounts with brokers. A lot of them will do what's called an ACH. It's a direct deposit to your account, and in order for them to get all of that set up, the EIN number is something they're going to have on file. So I highly recommend that you have a bank account that allows for mobile deposits, where you take a picture of a check and make the deposit. Because a lot of the loads that you deliver, providing you're running under your own authority, are going to be a check that you can deposit immediately into your bank account. The moment you receive it, you take the picture, it's there, and with most banks, it's available within 24 hours. This gives you a constant positive cash flow to cover whatever regular daily expenses you have, such as fuel, unless you have a fuel card. But if you get a fuel card, they're going to charge you weekly, and it's going to be an automatic draft coming out of your checking account. So that means with that automatic draft coming out, you need it coming in. So the ability to deposit that check is really essential. There's going to be a number of checks that come to your mailbox. Make sure that you have somebody there that can check it. and make those deposits for you, unless you have a large enough bankroll that you can wait until you get back home to make those deposits. A slight segue here on the subject of finances. And this is just my recommendation. Never accept a two-party check. As far as just an individual writing you a check, because you never know if it's any good or not, unless you know the person. I wouldn't. The only time that I've ever done that is when I am getting what's called a COP. It's charge on pickup. And it's a long haul. It's not going to be something that delivers the next day. It's going across country. So if they write me a check on pickup, I'll immediately make that deposit. It gives me a chance to make sure that it clears the bank before I make the delivery. Aside from that, I don't do personal checks. I'll do a business check from a dealer. In 6 years, moving hundreds or thousands of cars, I've had one check go bad from a dealer because the dealer went out of business shortly after the car was delivered. 900 and something bucks. If that puts you out of business, you got bigger problems than that one check. So it's probably less than 1%, I would say, in my experience, that's uncollectible. So it's not a bad rate. It really isn't. Money orders. If somebody wants to pay you with a money order, get both copies of it. Because if you only get the top copy, from my understanding, they can take the other one back and turn it back in, get their money back, and you basically have a rubber check. I've had a number of people tell me that. I've never had it happen, so I've just never taken the chance. I understand it's that way with money orders and MoneyGrams both. One drawback, at least with the banks that I've used, is you can't deposit either one of those, mobile deposit, with just taking a picture with your phone. So unless you want to stop, try to find somewhere to park a big truck to walk into a bank, if you have a nationwide bank, you're going to be sitting on that until you get back home, or find somewhere that'll cash it for you. So U-ship codes, you're going to want to set up a U-ship account. It's the equivalent of a COD. A lot of brokers will pay through COD with a U-ship code. If you've never done that before, it's really simple. U-ship is essentially the same thing as PayPal. The money will be deposited into the U-ship account. You will go in there and accept it, but you can't claim the money until you've been given a code. You get the code when you make the delivery. So you'll accept the dispatch on U-ship. When you make the delivery, you will take that code that the customer gives you, log onto your U-ship account, enter the code, transfer the funds from a locked account into your account. It's done. Boom. It's quick and simple. Then you can shake the customer's hand and walk away. So U-ship is good. I've had a number of brokers or customers pay me with Zelle. Simple, easy. It's a cash app. If you've never heard of it, ZELLE. It's a free download. It's an app you can download on your smartphone. Connect it with you just enter your debit card number and instant deposit. It's there within minutes. It really works great. So PayPal, Zelle, U-ship, there's a number of ways that you'll receive payments for anything that's considered a COD, and it can be $100 bills, stacks of them, you hope. So again, while we're on the subject of money, a lot of people ask, how does the pay system work? So I'll deal with that real quickly here. And this is going to be the same whether you're leased on or running under your own authority. It doesn't matter as far as how the payment system works from the brokers or the customers. How you're set up to receive funds from your carrier, that's something I'll get to in just a minute. So if your goal is to make the most money possible per mile, you're out here strictly to make money. You're not turning down loads because you're scared of them. You're not turning down loads because you're scared of where they go. You're willing to follow the money and haul what pays. Then about a third to half of everything that you haul will be a COD. Because when your dispatcher's booking it, they're not looking at how it pays, they're looking at what it pays. So about half everything you haul will be COD. Now, one of the questions I get asked is, what if I've put all my money into getting set up as a business and now I really don't have much at all to operate on? I don't have a large reserve, I don't have much for fuel. Can I still survive? Well, that's a very difficult question to answer. I can say yes, as long as you have no major breakdowns right out the gate. As long as you have no large unexpected expenses. Because you can tailor your loads to a degree towards as many CODs as possible and limit the number of longer pays to where you're getting what's called quick pays, like basically anything under 10 days, they consider that a quick pay. And by 10 days, I mean, and this is critical, guys, listen closely to this, because there's a lot of guys that sign on and don't understand this. When you look at the central dispatch, the portion of the page that describes how the pay system is going to work, it may say 5-day quick pay. So you go out there, you haul that car, you deliver it today, and you expect your money in 5 days. Folks, that is not how that system works. It means 5 days from the time your signed bill of lading is sitting on that broker's desk. Now, it can be electronically sent. Download, I have Scanner Pro on my phone. It cost me like $4 or something to download the Pro version. It works super well. It scans it and turns it in. It takes a picture essentially, but it saves it in a PDF format or JPEG or whatever it is, anyway, where it's printable, and they can print it out easily as a document, not as a photograph, and it's a better quality printout than it is to print a photograph. So from the time they received your signed bill of lading on their desk, they now have 5 days. Now you got to read the contract carefully, because that may be 5 calendar days and it may be 5 business days. Then you still have to allow for mailing time, which can be 2 to 5 more days. So it may be a week and a half or 2 before that 5-day quick pay is actually in your hands. That's normal. It doesn't mean that your boss is not doing their job. It doesn't mean that they're holding on your money, that they're sitting on your money. A lot of guys get real upset about that because they don't understand the process. They've never run their own company. They've never handled the billing side of things. So they don't have a clue how it works, and they're not willing to take the time to ask their boss to explain it. So if it's a 10-day pay or a 15-day pay, it works the same way, except that when you're dealing with a 15-day pay, you're going to have a couple of weekends involved in that, at least 2, and that can push the time out a little bit as well, especially if it's 15 business days. So read the contract carefully. And it may not even say it in the contract. It may just be how their system works. For them, it may be 15 business days, and they may not have spelled that out. Guys, you just got to go with the flow. Now, if it becomes a problem that they haven't sent your money, and it will happen, then whoever the billing person is can start a process of recovering those funds. Sometimes it takes a little while. Again, this is an extremely good business when it comes to collection percentages. The percentage of uncollected monies is really, really small. It's so small that if those uncollected monies put you out of business, you've got bigger problems than those uncollected monies, because if your margin is that tight, you probably need to go get an hourly job somewhere. So let's get back on track here. Okay, so when you're new in the business, a lot of guys are concerned about, will I be able to get contracts? Will I be able to get enough loads to keep me busy? Again, you're going to have to pay your dues. You're going to haul some vehicles that are not the best paying on the board. But companies start every day and survive. And it's not because they've got a lot of money in the bank. It's because there's enough brokers out there that will work with you as a new company, especially if you have a known dispatch service where these brokers already know the dispatcher. You can get enough loads that you'll get through that first 4 to 6 weeks. And I say 4 to 6 weeks because look at it like a pie chart, okay? And in this pie chart, you've got a little tiny sliver here, you've got a larger portion here, and then you've got all the rest of this pie. Okay, so this little teeny tiny sliver here at the bottom is a handful, and I mean just a handful of brokers who won't dispatch to you until you've been on Central Dispatch for a year. These brokers are super picky about their carriers, about their carrier's reputation, so they're going to give you time to no longer be a newbie. If you survive the first year and you still have good ratings, then they figure you can transport their freight and get it there on time and in good condition. So then they will talk to you. The other slightly larger piece of the pie is the part you're going to be eating on when you first get started in the business, before you reach the 25 positive ratings, which takes about 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, so those brokers will dispatch to you without having 25 positive ratings. It doesn't mean that their rates are going to be lower than anybody else's. It just simply means that because there's a smaller portion of them, you don't have as many gravy loads to choose from, which means you're going to be hauling some freight that is cheaper. So if you log onto your Central Dispatch account and you've hired my company to dispatch, your dispatcher is sitting there and they know what's available to you and what's not. And they go down this page and they pick out the best paying freight on that page, because they get paid on a percentage basis of everything they dispatch to you, which motivates them to get you the best money possible. And they find what's available to your company and they call you and say, hey, here's what I've got put together. Will this work for you? Are you okay with this? And you say, well, I was browsing around there a little bit ago and I saw these other loads that just pay far better. Why are you looking at this stuff? And the dispatcher then has to explain to you, well, sir or ma'am, you don't have 25 positive ratings, and this broker and this broker and this broker, they won't even talk to you yet. And this one over here with this super good load, you hadn't been on Central for a year, so you can't haul that one. This is what's left. And what I have given you, what I'm offering you, is the best of what's left. Take it, get it on your trailer, and get down the road. Get it delivered. The faster you get it delivered, the faster you put money in your account. Work hard, work clean, do a good job, be courteous, respectful, and at the end of each trip, ask for a positive rating. Make sure you've done a good enough job that a broker is going to give you a positive rating. If you're doing that at the end of that at the end of that 4 to 6 weeks, you will typically have received your 25 positive ratings. And now the world opens up to you. Now you have the big piece of that pie that you can start eating on and getting fat on. Now, as long as you are that driver that says, hey, Mr. Dispatcher or Miss Dispatcher, I can go and I can be gone for the next 2 weeks, next 3 weeks. Just keep me loaded. I don't care where I go. I don't care what I haul, as long as it's legal, safe, and I can get it on my trailer. You just made that dispatcher's day, because now they know they can truly follow the money. And I counsel with so many guys in my coaching calls that I explain that to them. They say, oh yeah, that's me. I want to go anywhere. I don't care where I go. I'll haul anything. And within the first week and a half or two, their dispatcher's calling me and saying, man, I'm just having the hardest time getting this guy loaded because he keeps turning down everything. He doesn't want to go here. He doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to haul that. He's telling me no every time I turn around. He had one bad experience at a Copart. Now he never wants to go back to Copart. He's throwing the entire bag of apples out because there was a worm in one apple. Bad business, guys. I'm telling you, it's bad business. I've watched that, and rather than trying to learn how to understand how to make Coparts and IAAs and these insurance auto auctions with wrecked vehicles work for you and work well by putting money in your pocket, some people just simply run from them. They have one bad experience and they run from them. Guys, I've had a bad experience with every available method of obtaining a load. out here on the road. And I take that experience, I learn from it, I learn how to try to avoid that same situation the next time. I learn how to mitigate my risks and to use those systems to benefit myself. If you don't do that, you'll never be able to afford to drive a nice truck unless you're coming into this game with money in your pocket already. And if you are, then great, because you've done something right already, or at least you knew somebody that liked you well enough to leave you in their will. Otherwise, you're never going to succeed. You have to work this game. You can't come in here and change this game to play it your way. You have to come in here and learn the rules of the game and follow them. And sometimes you can tweak things a little once you've learned the system, but you can't come in here with the attitude that I've already had a business, I've been successful, and I'm going to make this business work around me. It's going to kick your butt. It's going to slap you around a few times. And then you're going to say, oh, this is just a bad business, and get out of it. Or you're going to say, maybe I need to adjust my thinking a little bit. So, getting your own authority, here I am preaching and ranting and raving. Getting your own authority is not a bad way to go. Here's the thing about this bigger piece of pie. Almost every single one of those brokers is going to require what's called a carrier compliance packet. That carrier compliance packet is essentially the same thing as a job application. When you or your dispatcher calls up and says, hey, Mr. Broker, I'm interested in this load you've got listed on Central Dispatch. They look in their system and say, I don't see you've ever hauled for us before. And you say, oh no, I'm new and I haven't, but I would like to. Give me a chance. So here's what's going to happen. It's going to be a couple ways this will go. They're going to say, all right, give me your email address. Let me send this carrier compliance packet to you. Get it filled out and back to me along with a cert in the next 20 minutes, and the load's yours. A cert is a insurance certificate that proves to them that you have insurance, and if your insurance lapses, the insurance company will notify this company that you no longer have insurance. That way they're not dispatching something to you and you're out here running illegal and their freight is not covered. So when you fill out this carrier compliance packet, you get it sent back in, and if you're lucky, the broker kept his word and you get the load. Now that's kind of a small percentage of those, because most of the time what's going to happen is they're going to send it to you. You're going to scramble and fill it out. Anywhere from 1 to, I think, 13 pages is the biggest one I've ever filled out. It takes a little time. You get it sent back in, and they say, okay, our carrier compliance department will get around to this and should have you in the system within the next 7 to 10 days. Okay, don't have a meltdown about that. That's normal. That's the way the industry works. Fill it out, get it back in, but your dispatcher is going to move on to the next best load for you, because you're not going to get that load. But the next time you call about a load, hopefully by that point you'll be in the system and you'll be ready to roll with that company. It's going to take you about 6 months to get worked through all of these different carrier compliance packets to the point where you or your dispatcher is not filling one out almost every day that they're dispatching. There's just that many companies out there, that many brokers that you can choose from. So once you've made it past the 25 positive ratings and not received a negative one that was legit that you couldn't get out of, the doors swing wide open for you. From that point on, as long as you don't have a major wreck, a major damage, do something bad that gets you negative ratings, the car hauling industry is wide open to you. It's like a smorgasbord. You just go at it, help yourself. You got to work hard, you got to work clean, you have to maintain your ratings. It's like a report card. Before that dispatcher or that broker is going to dispatch a load to you, they're going to check your ratings. And if your ratings are not good, you're not getting that load. So the way the rating system works, when you get your account set up, you have a 0 score. You get your first positive rating, you have a 100% score. Everybody likes that. If your second rating is a negative one, and you don't handle that correctly and it processes, sticks with your account, you now have a 50% rating. And guess how many brokers are going to dispatch a load to you? Zilch. It's probably not going to happen. Maybe you or your dispatcher can beg and plead and get a few people to give you a chance. Folks, I'm telling you, avoid that negative rating. So you'll get negative ratings for late show or no show, meaning you show up late and you didn't communicate about it, or you didn't show up at all. You just decided you want to go fishing for the weekend instead of pick that load up you agreed to. Broker logs on, applies a negative rating to your account. Central Dispatch sends you a notice saying that broker ABC has given you a negative rating for no-show. They give you X number of days to work this out with the broker. Use that time wisely. Buy your way out of it if you have to. Get that negative rating gone before it applies to your account where the rest of the people, all the brokers out there can see it. Because once it applies, it's very, very difficult to get it removed. Central can override it. The broker can log in and remove it. That's your only two options, other than going out of business and starting all over with a brand new account. And that's crazy. Just avoid the negative rating. Do your job, do it well, so you don't get one. You're gonna be late. You're gonna break down. All you gotta do is be able to prove that you broke down to get out of that negative rating. A receipt. Don't lie about being broke down, because when you lie about it, you don't have a receipt. If you're broke down, first thing you do is you contact your broker and your customer. You say, hey, Mr. Broker, Mr. Customer, I'm broke down. Turbo went out. It's on order. It's going to be here in 2 days, and they should have me on the road halfway through day 3, and I'll be back and rolling. Most brokers are like, okay, not a problem, unless it's a problem with their customer. If it's a problem with the customer, they may say, okay, look, I got to put this load back on the board, and I'm going to have another carrier come by, and I'm going to need you to help get it off your trailer so they can load it on their trailer, the second transporter. Do that. Bend over backwards to make sure this broker understands that you're a good guy or a good gal, that you're the kind of person that's just had a bad luck, had your turbo go out on you, but you're not the kind of person that's going to cause them problems. And they'll give you another load in the future because you communicated well and you had a good attitude, and then you helped them get their customer's vehicle delivered. You'll get paid whatever percentage mileage wise of that trip that you transported it. So it's real simple, it's real easy. If you fail to negotiate your way out of that negative rating with the broker, Central's going to send you a email that says, we see you have been unsuccessful in, I forget the exact terminology, but anyway, unsuccessful in settling this issue, this dispute with the broker. Would you like to dispute it? You better be saying yes with a legitimate argument and reason. At that point, they will give you the opportunity to upload your documentation, upload the fact you did communicate with the broker, upload the fact that you broke down. Here's a copy of my receipt. Here's a copy of proof that I communicated with the broker, because hopefully you either hired my company with dispatchers that know how to handle this situation, or you understood the system well enough to know that you needed to send an email through Central Dispatch to the broker. Because if you did that, Central has a record, because it keeps a history of everything that goes on through their system. If not, at least make sure that you have some form of written communication. Phone calls are great, but you can't prove it. All you can prove is that you have a call on the call log. You can't prove what you said on that phone call unless you record all your calls, and that's just too much work. Go ahead and make a phone call, explain what's going on, and then send a follow-up email. Hey, thank you, Mr. Broker. We appreciate your understanding. This is just a follow-up email to confirm with you that we just spoke about the fact that my turbo's blown and that I should be back on the road in the next 2.5 to 3 days. I'll keep you updated. Now there's proof. Now, if the broker is unwilling to back off on that, Central is just simply not going to apply that rating to your account. Just be professional, be courteous, do a good job. So, as you can tell by now, ratings are important on Central Dispatch. There are half dozen or so other load boards. United Road, there's One Dispatch load board, there's Ship Cars load board, there's Metro Loads, there's all sorts of other smaller load boards out there that may or may not have something where you're going. Often it's almost not even worth the time to look, but they are there. Central Dispatch is going to be your bread and butter. I will do a separate video some other time on the difference between using Central Dispatch versus direct loads, direct customers that are calling you directly, and why sometimes that's a good idea and sometimes it's not, and how it can actually hurt your money rather than help. Totally separate video. Don't have enough time for it in this one. But the basic idea, just a short recap, if you go with an existing company, they already have 100% rating or close to it, they've already got all the brokers on board, they've already got hopefully better rates on insurance, they've already been established, everything's set up, ready to go. All you gotta do is put the signs on the side of your truck and roll. Experienced dispatchers, everything's good, you're rolling and working. And you don't have to worry about filing your IFTA. You don't have to worry about all these different things that you've got to do as a company. You just drive. Your company handles it for you. But they're going to retain about 15% of the gross to your truck on average, plus the cost of your insurance. And there's several ways that can be set up. Sometimes the company will charge you more than that, but it includes insurance. But because insurance can vary so much from one driver to the next, most companies will charge you a flat rate. The average nationwide fee to run under somebody's authority is 15%. There are still a few older companies out there, and there might be a couple newer ones as well, but 10% used to be the norm years ago. We're talking like 10 to 15 years ago. 10% used to be the norm. Some were a little over, some were a little under. As with everything, cost to operate your business has gone up, so they're having to retain a little bit more of that. 15% is the norm now. If you run across a company that's trying to charge more than that, find out why. What are they offering that makes it worth more than 15%? And I'm not going to say there's not a reason for it, but there's nothing that comes to my mind right now that says it's worth 15%, more than 15%, because 15% is a fair amount, and it is again the industry standard. Almost every company that I've ever talked to in the car hauling industry charges 15%, and that includes dispatching. It includes all of your authority paperwork. It's everything. Some companies may charge you for the door sign or give you the PDF file where you can go to a sign shop and they can print off the vinyl door stickers at your cost. A few little odds and ends like that may or may not be included in the 15%. I always did. I included it in mine when I was doing it. If you do it under your own, you're going to pay for all that stuff, but you're going to retain the 15% if you're doing everything on your own, including your dispatching. I'll go over this really quick. I will say that it is extremely difficult. You can be a very good dispatcher and a very good productive driver, but when you try to do both at the same time, you will probably lose more money than it would cost you to have a good dispatcher working for you. I know from experience that when one of my dispatchers takes over a new account on a quality driver that's been trying to do their own dispatching at the same time, we usually see about a 20% gross increase to the income of that truck, as long as that driver is willing to follow the money and haul what pays and work. If they're slow and lazy, you may not see that much. If they're super picky, you probably won't see that much of an increase. But that amount of increase is out there. It is available with a good dispatch driver team. In a later dispatch video, I'll get into all the reasons why, and you'll understand it perfectly when I break it down for you. But this video isn't about that. It's really just about the differences between leasing versus being your own company. One other major advantage to either hiring an experienced dispatch company or leasing on under someone that is experienced is technical support. There is nothing in this entire business that's complicated. There's just a lot of it to learn. And there's an old adage that says education's expensive. You're going to pay for it one way or the other. You can either pay the 15% or a smaller percentage if you hire a dispatch service like myself while running under your authority, or you can do your own dispatching, your own authority, and work your way through it and learn some things the expensive way. When you have good technical support and you listen to it and use it, you will normally be able to avoid the majority of your damages, the majority of your citations at scales. Leasing on under a company with a good safety program will hopefully get you better insurance rates. Possibly pre-pass if you're with a company with a low safety score, which will most of the time or often allow you to bypass a scale and not have to go through it, because going through a scale is kind of like waving a red flag in front of a bull. You never know when it's going to charge, and you never know when they may find something that you overlooked on your truck and put you out of service until you get that fixed. So there are a lot of advantages to leasing on under a company, at least until you learn the business. The hard part is most companies don't want to hire you if you're brand spanking new. There's some out there that will. You'll have to shop around, but a lot of companies are very leery of hiring somebody that's new because of damages. We'll deal with how to deal with damages in another video. That's a complicated-ish. It's one of the more complicated ones. I've always been the person that handled damages for the companies that I've been involved with, so I've handled a lot of damages, and it's not difficult if you understand the rules of how it works. It's the customer sometimes that can make it difficult. So at any rate, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. I've been yammering for a long time, and I'm giving you a lot of information to digest, and I've probably missed a few things. If I have, drop a question in the comment section of this video, and I will do my best to answer every question that comes across. Y'all keep the greasy side down and keep between the lines. I'm gonna join Doggo. She's gonna go to bed.